Okay, I think we are rocking and rolling. So welcome to a live stream with me about your rhomboids. We're going to be talking about the rhomboid muscles, which are these muscles between your shoulder blades. They go right in here or from this side over towards your spine. And the rhomboids actually help you pull your shoulder blades together, like so. Okay, so if you have dead rhomboids, like some people do, then you might feel like there's something terribly, horribly wrong with you. And in this video, we're going to talk about an experience that somebody had, Brendan, who sent me an email about his experience. We're going to talk about where things went wrong. We're going to talk about how to avoid having things go wrong with your rhomboids, and we're going to talk about how to wake up your rhomboids, especially if you think they're dead or damaged. Okay, so first things first, I got this message from Brendan, who has been using one of my programs. He's using the thoracic outlet syndrome fix program, or it's called the shoulder fix, but TOS fix. And he has had rounded shoulders and shoulder impingement for 7 or 8 months. He had a hard time feeling his rhomboids, which are these muscles back there. And he's saying, I'm concerned there is nerve damage or it's inhibited. So first off, whenever you start worrying about nerve damage, especially back here, my strongest advice to you is don't go down that rabbit hole. The likelihood that you have severe nerve damage to muscles if you haven't been in a traumatic accident are pretty low. So don't get caught up in that, because that is basically the WebMD rabbit hole where you go, oh, maybe I have something awful, and then you just start chasing down information that'll confirm that awful diagnosis, and you're going to start asking doctors to give you that diagnosis, and it's not going to be helpful. So I would say, look, what's going on? If a muscle can't move, if it feels like it's dead and you can't work it, then you need to do the one thing that'll wake up dead muscles. The only thing that'll wake up dead muscles is to fire them, is to make them do some exercise. So Brendan basically said, I'm going to fast forward a little bit, he did some pull-ups, and he says he thinks he strained his left rhomboid, and then there was pain when he came off. He was doing pull-ups, he felt strain, and then it started feeling weird. He started getting tight scalenes, his pec minor started to get really tight. So he went to his physical therapist, and his physiotherapist said, use trigger point release, which is what one of these is for, to release the rhomboids. And so he did. So he might have used a lacrosse ball, he might have done something else and just like jammed in there, jammed until something finally gave, right? And so this is the second point where I want you to pay attention. To fix dead muscles, to fix any muscle, you might need to use massage. Massage can be helpful. I have a self-massage course on my website. If you want to check it out, it's at uprighthealth.com. Doing some self-massage might be helpful for your body, but please don't smash things until you feel them give. If you smash things too hard, you can hurt yourself, and it can result in bad things. When we have sore, stiff muscles, like I have some really sore, stiff shoulder muscles and everything muscles today because I've been surfing and working out and swimming way too much for the last week and a half, so I'm like super sore. I could find a lot of spots on my body that are sore and that it feels kind of good in a horribly masochistic way to press on. And I could also press super, super hard until my eyes are watering and I can't breathe. But if I were doing that, I would be overriding my normal safety sensibilities. My body is telling me, hey, you know what? There's a certain amount of pressure that's okay, and beyond that, it's just pain and it's not productive. So I really encourage you, if you're gonna engage in self-massage or go get a massage from somebody, that you recognize that there is a difference between pressure that is productive and pressure that is just punitive, that's basically just hurting you and it's just going to damage you. It is not true that more pressure is always better, okay? Because at some point, like if more pressure were always better, I could just go get my car, stand in front of it against the wall, and have my wife just drive it into my quads and try to release my tight hip muscles, right? Like there is an obvious logical point at which more pressure is not better, and your body will generally tell you that. So this is why when people go to get massages, or you go to a physio or whatever, somebody tells you, oh, I just need to work that out by pressing harder, your alarm bells should go off, because it's a completely senseless way of going about fixing your body. Often you're just going to hurt yourself more by pressing harder. So that's the second thing you need to pay attention to. So then, Brendan says, ever since, I haven't felt the same range of motion or contraction in the left rhomboid compared to my right. It feels different. I feel like I have to really fight and pull just to get a full squeeze out of the rhomboids, right? So he basically went and just jammed the heck out of that muscle and crushed it until it finally gave up. And now it's hard to feel it contract. So he's now wondering, did I damage the nerve? Is it just now downregulated or inhibited? Am I just screwed? And the answer is, don't assume it's screwed, and don't waste your time looking for confirmation that it's screwed, right? Because if you're now thinking, okay, I have this horrible thing, I'm gonna go investigate to see if this horrible thing is true, you're taking time away from potentially fixing the thing by assuming that it's fixable, right? So if he just says, so if you're in this situation, right? Or if I were in this situation, I would say, I'm going to assume this is fixable. I'm going to assume that I am the one who can fix this, since unfortunately I'm the one who messed it up, and I'm going to put in the steps, I'm going to put in the work, and I'm going to just keep doing things that are going to wake that thing back up. So Brendan actually mentioned in his email that he was doing prone W's, which is a common exercise that can work on your shoulders. So prone W's are when you're like down here. I think you can see me. And he was saying he's doing these to try to wake up his rhomboids, and he can feel those muscles work a little bit. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, it's awesome that he was able to feel that, but those are not the best exercises to wake up your rhomboids. Okay, so when you are trying to fix any muscle that feels dead, whether it's your rhomboids or your glutes or your thigh muscles, whatever it is, you want to learn what motions are going to directly challenge the muscle to fire. So if you're thinking, I don't have any idea how I would do that, it's actually fairly straightforward. If you look at an anatomy drawing, you can see where the rhomboids are, or where your muscles are. You can see where those muscles attach and the striations or the lines that are in the muscle. So if we look at my friend Boney McBonerson, who does not have any muscles, by the way, because he spent all his time in medical school, late nights, eating poorly, and super stressed out all the time. And so all his muscles are gone. The rhomboids would be from here going in like this, right? And so if you look at a picture, you'll see that there are striations, there are lines on the rhomboids that go like this, in this diagonal, and on this side they go in this diagonal, okay? So then you want to ask yourself, if the two end points of the muscle are going to come together, what would be the motion that would be produced, right? So they're like this, they attach like this. It's basically pulling the shoulder blades in towards the spine, right? And maybe a little bit up, right? So in and up. So if we want to wake up the rhomboids, we want to force them to do some motion, create this squeezing motion, right? That's what they would do. So we can run this same thought process on something like the biceps, which most people are very familiar with, right? So biceps that are going to attach from up here and then down here, right? So the striations, the lines run up like that. If they contract, if we want to bring the two endpoints of the muscles together, boop, right? So we're going to contract the biceps, right? So if you had dead biceps somehow, which I know you don't because you sit on a computer all day and you hold your arm up all day and you lift your phone up and do tons of iPhone curls, your biceps are awake. But if they were dead, how would you try to wake them up? You would try to send the signal to contract, and that would mean doing bicep curls or iPhone curls or bony curls, right? So thank you, Boney. I appreciate it. So if you're trying to wake up your rhomboids, doing a motion like this doesn't actually target the rhomboids. So I don't know if it was his physio or whoever who told him to do that to wake up the rhomboids, but that motion does not even get the rhomboids. Okay, so we want to find a simple, easy exercise that's going to wake it up. So easy thing you can do is just start pulling your shoulder blades together like this, right? Super simple. This is obviously with zero resistance, but that's okay. We can change things up in a second. Now, when you do this, if you feel like your rhomboids are dead, you feel like one side is numb, you feel like you cannot actually feel contraction on one side, or maybe it's both sides, it's normal. I have seen that. And by normal, I mean it's common. So don't freak out, right? And also, I guess it's not normal because that's not normal function. You want it to function in a way where you can feel it, you can send the command, you can feel that you're sending the command, and you can feel that the muscles are responding to the command. So we want to return to normal by continuing to just pull those shoulder blades in and relax. This is so simple. You can do it all day long until you feel tired, right? To make this easier in terms of feeling the right muscle, you can just hold that contraction, right? So you can just hold that contraction, hold it, hold it, hold it, and then relax and do it again. Now, there are some of you who are probably watching this thinking like, how could that possibly do anything? And I encourage you to just do it because you'll probably notice there's a big asymmetry from side to side. Right now, as I'm doing this with you, I feel a little bit of an asymmetry because when I'm sitting at the computer, I have this tendency to rest my left elbow forward, especially when I'm clicking and like looking at the internet or looking at my YouTube video edits or whatever. I have this tendency where the left rhomboids are kind of stretched out and I'm just hanging out, click, click, clicking. And so the left doesn't always function as well as the right. When I'm surfing, there's also a little bit of asymmetry. So I notice, even right now, things are not quite perfectly the same, okay? And a lot of people that I've worked with, a lot of people that you know, could be your mom, could be your dad, have this really noticeable asymmetry where the right side is out in a way because you're using the mouse all the time. And you know, maybe you hold the steering wheel like this, maybe you drive stick shift and you just have this tendency to let that forward. So one side is gonna feel a little more dead, one side is gonna feel a little more easy to contract. It's fine, not gonna kill you. And don't go down the WebMD rabbit hole and start saying to yourself, oh my God, I think I've got terrible permanent nerve damage. Because what are you gonna do if you have terrible permanent nerve, like if you assume that's true, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go see a doctor who's gonna do what? They're not gonna do anything, right? What are they gonna do? They're gonna outfit you with like a bionic rhomboid. It's just like, it's pointless to go down that path because there's no solution that way, right? The technology doesn't exist. We can't use a soldering gun and reconnect things, right? So just assume you can fix it, right? So once you've been doing some of that, then nice, easy thing you can do is just progress it a little bit. You can be bent over, and then you can bring your arms out to the side like this, really focusing on squeezing your shoulder blades together in the back, okay? If that looks too hard or you do that and you feel like you're feeling the rear delts too much, that's fine. Go ahead and bend your elbows and then do it like this, okay? So you're just squeezing, trying to feel the shoulder blades squeeze together. Your elbows are going up and you're really focusing on trying to get that feeling back there between the shoulder blades, okay? Not focusing on this, but this on you may also be weak, so it's okay if you do feel some muscle working there. Now, when you start doing this, it may take you a a couple tries. Might take you a couple days. It may even take you a couple weeks to actually feel like the rhomboids are actually working. This is because you have not been talking to those muscles for a while. And so when you start to send these commands, if you're lucky, those commands are getting through, but you don't have the feedback mechanism in place. So it's hard for you to even feel that things are happening there, and you're not getting the feedback from those muscles that those muscles are getting tired. All you have to do is keep going. You just keep going, keep going, keep going. And I guarantee at some point, if you load it enough or you repeat it enough, those muscles will tell you, we are tired. And that's what you're looking for, because if you can move it, number one, it's clearly not permanent nerve damage because you're able to talk to that area. And then number two, you're going to start to feel like, oh God, what is that? Oh my, it's burning back there. That's telling you, finally, that you're connected both ways. The outgoing signal, incoming signals, they're all working, so you're golden, right? So you keep going, if you feel that tiredness, great. And if you're doing it this way with the bent elbows, then you can extend your elbows so that the lever arm is longer, the resistance is higher, then you're going to feel like the rhomboids are working harder. Try to get as parallel to the floor as you can when you do this so you can really target the rhomboids. And then when you're ready, hold on to some light weights. That increases the resistance, forces those muscles to work harder. Yes, that will also make your rear delts work more, which for most of us is not a bad thing. Okay, so if you suspect your rhomboids are dead, highly recommend you just start off by doing seated or standing or whatever, scapular retractions, right? Wake those muscles up, pay attention to what differences you feel, and then progress it. Go into a bent position. You could also do that seated. You don't have to just be against the wall. You could do it seated and just fold yourself forward, and then just start pulling the shoulder blades together, okay? You can do like prone W's and stuff. Like those are good shoulder exercises, but they're not good for waking up your dead rhomboids, right? Remember to look at the anatomy of whatever you're working on so you understand what you're trying to do, so you understand what movement is going to be the most effective, most directed at the thing that you're trying to fix, okay? So I'm also going to include links in the description box for some other videos that are related to this, things that will affect like neck tension, and also if you feel like you have knots between the shoulder blades, that's very much related to what we're talking about today. So I'm going to link to that as well in the description box. And I'm going to take just a second, just going to check in with what's in the comments, and then I'm going to go. So let's check out what we got here. Mike says, love your work, bye. And then somebody said, oh, when I massage my back, sometimes I feel like I can breathe better. That's cool. Is that Adnan? Adnan said he can breathe better when he massages the back. That's cool. That's a good thing to notice. Remember that your breathing is affected by whether your ribs can move. So if you think about wearing a corset, you know, like if we pretend we're in, I don't know, 17th century, 18th century, and we're all women and we're all wearing corsets that just kind of keep our rib cages crushed in, we can't really breathe very well. And you can reproduce that by making sure all the muscles around your torso are really stiff and tight, right? So it's like if you get your abs real strong from doing 1,000 sit-ups a day, and you do a bunch of pull-ups and everything is just clamping down on your ribs and you've never done anything to open up and expand the muscles around your rib cage, including the ones that are between the ribs, which are called the intercostals, otherwise known as baby back ribs, then you are going to have a hard time breathing. So if you actually do massage in a respectful way to your body, you can actually breathe better. All right, and I just want to see two more things. All Diva asks or says, hello, where were you 10 years ago? 10 years ago, I think I was not yet on YouTube. I was 10 years ago 10 years ago, I definitely still had some things that were hurting, but I was actually, 10 years ago, I was learning different massage techniques to try to help people get out of chronic pain and also help myself get out of chronic pain. And during all that exploration, I started realizing that massage was not going to fix everything. So, good question. And then sometime in the intervening time, I realized, oh, exercise. Exercise makes a big difference. And then I started sharing things here on YouTube. So I'm here now. That's the important thing, Aldiva. I'm here now. And so, Aldiva, do not give up. Yeah, I know. Things feel awful. You feel old. I've been there before. My Lord, have I been there before. I tell people quite often that I already know what it's like to be decrepit. Like, I felt like I was 90, and I don't ever want to feel that horrible again. Because being powerless is not fun. Feeling like you can't fix yourself is also even worse. So understand that when we're dealing with our bodies hurting, that there's a process in play, that we have done or not done enough of something. And if we start to understand how to interpret the signals from our body, we can make our bodies feel a whole lot better. This is like if we were living our lives not understanding the hunger signal, and every time our stomach hurt, we thought, I don't know what to do. Maybe I should see my doctor. Not only would you be seeing a doctor all the time, but the doctors who are living in this bizarre world would also not understand that that pain in our stomachs was not best treated by surgery or pills, but would, they would just not understand that if we ate food, it would feel better. So we would want to, in this world, with these bodies, we need to understand what the needs are that are being communicated and address those needs appropriately. Currently, conventional medicine addresses these signals in an absolutely barbaric, unscientific, and cruel way. So you need to understand, if something hurts, you cannot get caught in RIPS, rest, ice, injection, pills, and surgery. You got to start looking at how you live your life, how you move your body, what you're doing with your body, and how you can start changing the patterns. Because what we normally do in modern life is let everything atrophy. And then atrophy aches, right? So if you have back pain, go check out some of my back pain videos. There's all kinds of videos on that topic. So I hope they help you. And okay, and this is the last question and we'll wrap it up. So ask me, so how do you feel now? Now I feel amazing. Today I'm a little bit sore and tired because I spent the last week and a half surfing, not every day, but almost every day for an hour and a half to 3 hours each of those days, swimming for 20 to 30 minutes, 3 or 4 times, doing workouts in my garage or at the gym for 45 to 90 minutes, and like doing all these different things. And then yesterday I went hiking with my wife, kid, and mother-in-law, and I carried my kid on my shoulders. I was racing with my kid in the dirt, running around. I felt myself get really tired and worn down and like really stiff and sore, and I slept a lot last night because I did a lot of physical activity that was just making me tired, and I need to rest. I can unequivocally say I am in much better shape in my 40s than I was in my 20s and in my teens and in my 30s too. Like I can do more, I have more endurance, I have more stamina to do whatever, I have better flexibility. I'm not a circus performer, but everything is just obviously clearly better. So again, like I've talked about this before, I strongly encourage you to ATM, always think muscles, work with your muscles, understand what your body is telling you, and you can make such a difference to your comfort levels and your overall quality of life, right? So this is why I'm telling you, think right, move right, and feel right. Okay, so that's all I have time for today. My son's gonna be home soon. We're gonna go figure out something to do. I hope this helped you out. And as always, I hope you guys remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.